The pharmacist whispered, "Your wife has been filling 2 different birth control prescriptions." Raymond pulled me aside at the pharmacy counter, glancing nervously around the empty store before continuing in a hushed voice. "I shouldn't be telling you this, but one is the regular pills you know about, and the other is a completely different hormone dosage she picks up separately. She pays cash for the second one." My mind went blank as I processed his words. Jennifer and I had been trying to conceive for 3 years, spending thousands on fertility treatments, enduring the heartbreak of negative tests month after month. She'd cried in my arms just last week about another failed cycle. "That's impossible," I said, gripping the counter. "We're trying to have a baby." "She stopped birth control years ago." Raymond looked uncomfortable but pulled up his computer screen, tilting it so I could see. 2 prescriptions under Jennifer's name. Different doctors, different dosages, both active and refilled monthly like clockwork. The one I knew about was supposedly prenatal vitamins. The other was definitely birth control, prescribed by a doctor I'd never heard of. I drove home in a daze, my mind cycling through explanations. Maybe it was for hormonal regulation, perhaps part of a fertility protocol I didn't understand. But deep down, I knew something was catastrophically wrong. Jennifer had made me document every supplement I took, eliminate alcohol, even switch to boxers for better sperm motility. Why would she sabotage our efforts with hidden contraception? That evening, I watched her inject herself with what I thought were fertility hormones, kissing her afterward and telling her how brave she was. The routine we'd performed hundreds of times suddenly felt like a performance, and I was the only one who didn't know it was staged. I found the pills 3 days later, hidden inside a tampon box in her personal bathroom drawer. The prescription was only 2 months old, but the doctor's name matched records going back 3 years. Jennifer had been preventing pregnancy the entire time we'd been trying, watching me believe I might be infertile, comforting me through the crushing disappointment she was actively causing. When I confronted her with the pills in my hand, Jennifer's face went through a transformation I'll never forget. First shock, then calculation, finally a cold resignation that made her look like a stranger. "I knew Raymond would eventually crack," she said calmly. His guilty conscience was written all over his face every time I picked up my prescription. The truth was worse than any affair could have been. Jennifer loved me but never wanted children. She'd agreed to try only to keep our marriage together, assuming I'd eventually give up. But I hadn't given up, and she couldn't bring herself to either tell the truth or actually get pregnant. So she'd created an elaborate charade that had lasted 3 years. "Do you have any idea what you've put me through?" I asked, my voice breaking. "The tests, the specialists, thinking something was wrong with me, my parents crying because they might never have grandchildren." Jennifer's composure finally cracked. "What about what I've been through?" she screamed. "Pretending to want something that terrifies me? Watching you plan nurseries and pick names while feeling like a fraud? I never wanted children, but saying that would have ended us." She revealed the full extent of her deception. The fertility clinic visits where she'd given fake information to ensure treatments wouldn't work. The ovulation tracking app where she'd input false data. The pregnancy tests she'd pre-purchased knowing they'd always be negative. Even the support group we'd joined for couples struggling with infertility, where she'd cried real tears for a completely different reason than everyone assumed. The contraception wasn't even the worst part. Jennifer had been seeing a therapist for 2 years about her tocophobia, a severe fear of pregnancy and childbirth stemming from watching her mother nearly die giving birth to her younger brother. She'd hidden an entire psychological struggle from me while I'd shared every vulnerable moment of my own journey. "Why didn't you just tell me?" I asked, exhausted by the magnitude of her lies. "Because you would have left," she said simply, "and I loved you more than I feared pregnancy. I thought I could overcome it, or you'd eventually stop wanting kids. I was wrong on both counts. The marriage couldn't survive such a fundamental betrayal. Not the contraception itself, but the 3 years of watching me suffer, letting me believe my body was failing, encouraging me to keep hoping for something she was actively preventing. We divorced within 6 months, the cruelest irony being that we still loved each other. 2 years later, I'm engaged to someone who shares my desire for children. We're expecting twins, and the joy feels pure and uncomplicated." Jennifer sent a congratulations card when she heard, admitting she's found peace with someone who shares her child-free vision. Sometimes love isn't enough when 2 people want fundamentally different futures, but there's no excuse for turning your partner's dreams into a performance where they don't know they're acting out your lie.